What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Mid-Level Media channel, your hub for everything physical media and entertainment. I am Ken, and I'm here today to wrap up a summer of Cage. As you know, it was Nicolas Cage month for the entire month of June here on the Mid-Level Media channel. So I'm excited to jump into these 5 titles and briefly cover them for you guys here today. A couple of them were new releases for the month, so they'll be kind of, new release reviews, and I'll go ahead and point those out. But Vampire's Kiss and Incredible Weight of Massive Talent, or Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, both came out this month. So I'll do little reviews of those since they are recent releases and let you know if they're worth picking up. And then the other 3 are just, back catalog titles, stuff that came out a long time ago, just Nicolas Cage movies that I either have never seen or haven't seen for a very long time. So I did get a chance to watch 8 Nicolas Cage movies for this month. I wanted to watch way more, but I always go into these months with the intention of watching 15, and I always end up watching 8 or 9. It's just a really busy time of year for me. My kids are out of school right now, so I can't watch as much stuff as I usually can, and just time is far more limited than it is when they're actually in school. So didn't get enough time to get in these watches. Plus I'm trying to cover the new releases as well, but luckily a couple of these were new releases. But before we get into talking, I feel like I'm blabbing too much already. Before we get into talking about these, I want to ask that if you are not yet a subscriber to the Mid-Level Media channel, what are you waiting for? Hit the subscribe button for more great content. We do tons of stuff on this channel, mostly centered around the world of physical media, new 4K and Blu-ray reviews. I do physical media reports, updating you on all the latest happenings in the world of Blu-ray and 4K every single Monday. I do Blu-ray hunting videos, collection hauls, unboxing videos, just tons of stuff on this channel that you'll enjoy if you like collecting Blu-rays, 4Ks, movies, physical media, all that stuff, all this stuff behind me. If you like that kind of stuff, hit the subscribe button. Also, be sure to like this video and comment down below, guys. I want to know, if you participated in Nicolas Cage month, what were some of your watches for the month? Just what are some of your favorite Nicolas Cage movies in general? Let me know in the comments section below. We also had a lot of other channels that participated, because I do make these monthly themed events, community events as well. So I invite other channels and Instagram pages and stuff to participate. A lot of people made some incredible videos and reviews and collection hauls and updates and all that stuff for the month of June, which I have linked a lot of those in my community tab. So I have a couple to post before the end of the month. But yeah, definitely check out my community tab for all of those, links to other channels and their reviews and their videos on Nicolas Cage. So yeah, let's get into it. Without further ado, let's start talking about some Nicolas Cage movies. So I did do reviews for The Rock. I did a review for Wild at Heart, and then I briefly talked about Raising Arizona. Those are the other 3 ones that I watched. So we're going to cover 5 here today. The first one I want to talk about is Gone in 60 Seconds. So I don't think I'd seen this movie since DVD. I remember watching it back in the 2000s, early 2000s. I think I owned it on DVD, but I don't have it anymore. So I needed to rebuy this one. You can get this right now. I think this is $5.99, so it's pretty damn cheap right now, and well worth it. It looked great on Blu-ray. I would definitely appreciate a 4K, but this absolutely looked fantastic on Blu-ray. So yeah, this is a movie that came out, I believe, in 2000. I always enjoyed this movie. I always enjoyed rewatching. I just love the cast. There's so many incredible people in this movie. Obviously, you have Nicolas Cage, but you have Robert Duvall as well. You have Angelina Jolie, Giovanni Ribisi. There's just a lot of people in this movie that I remember from that time period, being in different movies. So I'm just kind of nostalgic on it. You got Timothy Olyphant in this movie. He's one of the cops in the film. So it's just a really good cast, and the story itself isn't the best or exactly the most realistic, but just the chemistry of the cast and the performances and just the energy of this movie is really what carries it for me. And I had a hell of a time going back and rewatching this one. It's incredibly rewatchable. It's one that I feel like I could throw back in and have, just as much fun with. So really enjoyed my rewatch of this. I hadn't seen it in probably 15 or 20 years, but I really enjoyed the rewatch of it. The one negative I will put on this one is the villain isn't the best, and he's not even really a well-known actor. I don't think I've seen him in anything else. Somebody can point to something else that he was in the comment section below. Maybe he's great in some other stuff. I just thought he was a really weak, kind of piss poor villain for this movie and the story. I feel like they could have done better. He's just very generic, very one note. There's just not a lot of depth to him. And not that, this movie needed to have a lot of depth to the villain to make it good, but I think it would have added just a little bit extra, just a little bit of an extra layer to the movie and the story if he would have been just a little bit stronger of a villain. But really enjoy this movie. Really fun, like chase sequences, action sequences. It's just a fun, energetic, upbeat movie. And honestly, like Nicolas Cage is like surprisingly for the energy of this movie overall. It's one of Nicolas Cage more like subdued, just subtle performances, I feel like. I don't feel like he's dialed up to 11 like he is in a lot of other movies that we'll get to talk about here in a second. He is very like low key as far as his performance in this, which is kind of weird given just how like energetic the film itself is. But Gone in 60 Seconds was a really fun rewatch. I would give that one probably like a 3.5 out of a 5 for an actual score. I think I scored it on Letterboxd. I just don't remember what I gave it. So definitely follow me on Letterboxd. I do log these movies as I watch them, or at least I tried to. But I watched Honeymoon in Vegas, I think a couple of mornings ago. I watched this one, popped this one in. I love movies that are set in Vegas. I just love that aesthetic. I've never been to Vegas myself. Every time I watch a movie set in Vegas, I just have a really good time with it. Like The Hangover, I love. Vegas Vacation is like one of my favorite vacation movies. Leprechaun 3 even was set in Las Vegas. I can't think of any more Vegas movies off the top of my head, but I really like just the Vegas setting. I just always think it's super fun as far as a movie setting. So, but interestingly enough, the movie is called Honeymoon in Vegas, but a large portion of this movie is actually set in Hawaii because James Caan takes Sarah Jessica Parker to Hawaii for the weekend. That's the plot of the movie. Nicolas Cage kind of loses a lot of money in a bet against James Caan, so he can't pay it, and he's like kind of a big like loan shark, like bigwig, so he pretty much threatens him into getting him to lend Sarah Jessica Parker's character to him for the weekend, so he can hopefully like make her fall in love with him. So it's kind of a weird plot point. But it's a good movie. I really enjoyed this movie. It's a good romantic comedy, a kind of love triangle movie. It's kind of goes to a place where she's thinking about leaving Nicolas Cage for James Caan. So there's that kind of push and pull between the two and her in the middle. And I thought it was really well done and definitely has a really awesome like climax to the movie at the end with the Nicolas Cage Elvis sky jumpers and stuff coming out. I kind of always remembered that, like just scenes of that, just seeing that before, and it definitely delivered. This movie itself delivered. It's just a really nice story. It has a sweet ending to it. A little bit strange of a setup with Nicolas Cage's mother dying and telling him to never fall in love. But that was, the 90s. They had those kind of like weird setups to the story. And it kind of, transitions to Nicolas Cage's character and why he doesn't want to get married. And then Sarah Jessica Parker kind of pulling away from him because she wants to get married. And then they go to Vegas and all that stuff. So it's a fun movie. I enjoyed this movie. I'd give it like, I'd probably give it a 3.5 out of 5. Again, it's not a great movie or anything, but it's definitely a fun 90s romantic comedy. I watched Lord of War last night on 4K. This was the last Nicolas Cage movie I watched. Really enjoyed this movie. Again, this one definitely, I feel like, is one of Nicolas Cage's like best performances. He does have some of those like dialed up to 11 or 12 or 13 like Nicolas Cage moments in this movie. But also very subdued, just very like serious performance by Nicolas Cage. And I thought he did a great job in this role with this performance as this arms dealer. It kind of tells the story like chronologically through the 80s, through the 90s, just like showing his rise in the arms dealing business. So really good movie. I definitely recommend it. Jared Leto's really great in this movie. Go back to like the 2000s if you want to see some really solid like Jared Leto performances. I don't feel like he's had one in quite some time. It's just like every movie he comes out with, I'm like, God, Jared Leto again. But in this movie, he is really good. This is a really good cast. You got Ethan Hawke in this movie as well as kind of the FBI agent that's trying to take him down. So really strong movie. It was a little bit too long for me. I felt like it kind of meandered a little bit, like a second to third act. They just added in a lot of stuff between him and his wife and all that I didn't feel was totally necessary, but I feel like they could have trimmed it by about 20 minutes. I kind of just felt the length of it, but I did really enjoy the movie. I would give it probably, again, a 3.5 to 4 out of a 5. Again, I think it's one of Nicolas Cage's stronger performances for sure. So really enjoyed Lord of War. And then going into the 4K, the 4K transfer was outstanding. Like this looked incredible in 4K. So if you're on the fence on picking this one up or you owned it on Blu-ray and you were kind of, you know, not sure if it was worth the upgrade, it's absolutely worth the upgrade. And I think it's actually still pretty cheap at about $14 or $15. So I would definitely recommend picking this up on 4K. It looked outstanding on 4K as far as the transfer. Let's talk about let's talk about Vampire's Kiss. This is like the elephant in the room, I feel like, of this video. People are probably just waiting to hear me talk about Vampire's Kiss. If you haven't seen Vampire's Kiss, it's absolutely, if you're a fan of Nicolas Cage, especially like crazy out there Nicolas Cage, like full on, like he's not only dialed up to 11 in this movie, he goes to like 25, 30. This performance in this movie is insane. Like it is definitely the most insane performance Nicolas Cage has ever given, like in his entire career, at least of what I've seen. And I watched quite a bit of like 80s Cage movies this month. And when was this one made? I'm trying to think. It might have been the early 90s. No, this was 1989 was Vampire's Kiss. I don't know what to say about this movie. The movie itself is bad. Like the movie itself is very bad. I don't even feel like for a vampire movie, the movie has like very little like stuff to do with actual like vampires and him like turning into a vampire. Like there's the whole, like he gets bit on the neck by Jennifer Beals in this movie, who is freaking, I love Jennifer Beals. She's like smoking in this movie, like white hot smoke. But yeah, she's great in the movie. She's the vampire that kind of comes in and turns you, but it's so random how she like comes into it and they get together and it's so fast. Like they literally meet and they end up like having sex, and then like within 30 seconds she's biting him on the neck. So the whole thing happens like super fast. But then there's this weird like plot point between him and his like secretary, and he's just super awful and mean to her like the entire movie. And it's just so weird, their relationship and their dynamic together. And that's where the source of like the most like ridiculousness of his performance comes from. He's like chasing her around the office, and like if she can't find something, she can't find this document that he needs, and she tries to run away. They're like chasing each other around the office. This is a professional office building, and he's chasing her around the office in front of all these people that are just sitting there and nobody's doing anything about it. And it's completely ridiculous. And he does this all throughout the movie. Like she calls in sick one day. He shows up at her house. It's just so crazy. And the performance like between him and her is so out there. Like that, there's so many memes of this, I feel like, that I've seen, like him just standing at the desk like this. He's like looking real close. And he's like, I think I caught it like on videotape when I was watching it, but he's like, I will fire you. I will fucking fire you. And he's just like looking, he's so intense, and it's just so crazy. Like the performance is so out there. He has this weird, I don't know what kind of accent he's using. It's like in English, but like super, it's like if somebody were to wake up one day and decide that they want to start like talking like really proper. It's almost like a parody of like a super like proper, like well-to-do, like gentlemanly type character, but also like there's some English accent in there as well. He's like, hello, my name is Nicolas Cage, and I am here today to talk to you all about, it's just such a like prim and proper performance, but it's so ridiculous. And he's like going in and out of the accent, I feel like, throughout the movie as well. Anyway, what I'm saying is the movie's terrible, like legitimately terrible. It's one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life, but it is so worth watching. It is so worth watching because of Nicolas Cage's performance. It is so worth watching. Like, you have to see this performance. He is crazy in this movie. He is psychotic. Like, this is a performance of a lifetime. Like, nobody, I feel like, has ever been as insane in their performance as he is in this movie. So in that aspect, in that respect, I'm totally glad I bought this. I'm totally glad I have this in the collection, and it lived up to every ounce of hype that I feel like I've heard about the ridiculousness of his performance in this movie. It's fantastic. Watch it just for the performance, but don't expect like a good like vampire movie. I don't even know what you would call this. A dark comedy, a horror film. I don't know. Watch it for Nicolas Cage. His performances is freaking nuts, and watch it for Jennifer Beals because she is smoking hot in this movie. Beyond that, I don't know what else to recommend it for. If that sounds good to you, buy this. It's $17.99 right now. I do want to show you the reversible cover art right there. I think that's really cool, and I think they actually MBD Rewind does posters and stuff in theirs as well. And I'll show you the disc art real quick. Do a little bit of unboxing. And yeah, they do a little poster. This movie's bad shit, guys. I don't know what else to say about it. It's freaking bad shit. But I'm glad I own it. $17.99. I'll put that down below. I'll link that down below in the description. For the movie, I'll give it a... God, I'll give it a 3 out of 5. Again, it's a terrible movie, but I gotta crank it up a little bit because the performance is must-see. It is a must-see performance. As for the transfer, it's just a regular 1080p presentation, and you know, it's pretty basic. It's nothing mind-blowing or anything. It's good, but again, I've definitely seen much better Blu-ray transfers. So it's not the best Blu-ray transfer I've ever seen, but it's probably the best way that you can watch this movie for sure. As for special features, there is a commentary with actor Nicolas Cage and director Robert Behrman, which is probably super interesting. I do need to listen to that at some point. Photo gallery, theatrical trailers, all that stuff. No interviews or anything like that, so that's a little you know, disappointing. So no like big special features or nothing other than the commentary. But I think you need to own this. I think you need to own it. Maybe check out your local Dollar Tree because those DVDs are floating around in there if you just want to watch the movie. And lastly, we can talk about The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. So I did enjoy this movie. It did not live up to the entirety of the hype that I feel like was going into this film. It was kind of set up to make you think that it was just going to be like references galore, like from Nicolas Cage's past. And there are a lot of references in it, but I thought it was going to be just a little bit more comedic, a little bit more clever with some of the references when it really was just like, oh, hey, Con Air's on the TV. I was in Con Air. Face Off. I'm a big fan of Face Off. Hey, you were in The Croods. Like, those are the kind of references that they have throughout the movie, just kind of talking about, oh, there's the guy from Moonstruck and stuff like that. It's not, I felt like they could have done more clever things with the references. But again, it's okay. It's funny. It's cool to see Nicolas Cage back in a movie like this, because I feel like this movie was a pretty big, you know, movie in the theaters. Like, it actually came out to the theaters. People went and saw it. So in that respect, like, I'm happy it exists. It felt like a big time, like, studio action comedy, because there's quite a bit of action in this movie as well. I thought that the chemistry between him and Pedro Pascal was really great. Again, I just wanted a little bit more from that story. And again, I just wanted a smarter script, I guess, in terms of just how they reference and call back to some of the Nicolas Cage films from the past. You got Tiffany Haddish in this movie, who's okay. Neil Patrick Harris is in this film. You got Ike Barinholtz, I think is his name. He's actually not in it very much. I wish he was in it a little bit more because I do like him in other stuff like Neighbors. And I'm trying to look and see like who directed this movie, because I'm not sure if it was anybody that's like super notable. Tom Gormican directed this movie. So I don't really know what else he's directed, but I feel like, yeah, I just feel like the script needed some work, and I feel like overall, like, the direction just wasn't the best. It felt like one of those, like, basic, like, almost like a Kevin Hart action comedy or comedy. Just a very basic comedy, studio comedy that is funny in spurts, in parts, but it's just not that incredibly smart or necessarily witty in terms of its comedy. Just a very basic, like, studio comedy. But like I said, I'm glad to see Nicolas Cage back in the spotlight in movies like this, and I hope that this means that we get to see more and that he kind of breaks out, because he's doing that Vampire Dracula movie next. So I hope that he gets more like into the bigger roles, because he's been doing a lot of straight to video, straight to Blu-ray, straight to 4K titles. Like, and I've liked some of those. Like Mandy was definitely great. Willy's Wonderland was good for what it was, but I want to see him back in the spotlight and kind of close out his career in the spotlight, like doing these bigger budget movies. And hopefully this reminds everybody, because Nicolas Cage is great in this movie. He's great in this movie for what he's given. I hope this reminds people how great of an actor, and how like how we need Nicolas Cage in the spotlight. Like, we need him. He's a great, not necessarily like the best actor of all time, but he's just a great like on-screen presence and a great movie star for what he can do. For what he does, like he does it like nobody else. Like, nobody else can be Nicolas Cage. And if you don't believe me, watch Vampire's Kiss, because you'll never see another performance like this again. But really good movie, really solid movie. I would give it like, I'd probably give it a 3 out of 5. Again, I did enjoy the movie. It's very watchable, but it's don't go into this thinking it's like one of the best comedies or one of the smartest, like most wittiest meta comedies of all time. I think that the comedy and the references are very basic. and they could have done better. But I did enjoy the movie. Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. This is the Walmart edition right here. I love the cover on this. This was 25 bucks at Walmart. Great cover. This has some really great special features. A lot of special features included on here. You got deleted scenes, The Mind, Glimmers of Bygone Cage, Everybody Needs a Javi, Nick and Nikki and Sergio, Second Act Action, Cages 5 and Up, South by Southwest Film, a Q&A and audio cut. So just tons of special features in this release for sure to dig into. And yeah, I thought the transfer was really great. It has Dolby Vision, it has Dolby Atmos as far as the audio. So, which, you know, there's a lot of great like action set piece moments. Like this is a comedy for sure, but like there's a lot of action in this movie as well. The plot definitely dives into more of like the action realm. It's almost as if they're trying to you know, riff off of like Nicolas Cage's like action film history, like Face Off, like The Rock, with some of those action set pieces in the movie. And I do think that those aspects of the film did work quite well. But Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, I would recommend, you know, picking it up. Just know what you're getting yourself into going into it. So I did enjoy this one. But yeah, that's all of my Nicolas Cage watches. Again, I will link his most, I'll end up linking all these down below, I guess, but I'll definitely link these two newer releases down below. So yeah, that's a month of Cage, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the Nicolas Cage content here on the channel. As for next month, we're going to be doing Criterion month. It is the month of July. I am not buying a whole lot of new Criterions, but I have 38 back there if you watch my video from a couple of weeks ago that I have not dove into yet. So I'm going to be trying to watch as many Criterion titles as I can and reviewing and talking about them and doing some recommendation videos on the channel. So if you want to join me, like always, on Instagram, on YouTube, just make sure you, you know, make the video, make the post, and use the hashtag a Criterion month, and I will post it on my community tab or post it in my stories on Instagram. So thank y'all so much for watching. Please like, comment down below some of your favorite Nicolas Cage films. Did you see The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent? Did you watch Vampire's Kiss? Let me know in that comment section below. Also, be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Turn on those bell notifications and follow me on all my social media accounts. Those links are in the description, and we'll see you next time.